What is up? We are your Colorado real estate family, and this might be the most pivotal market video we've ever done. Stick around until the end, and I'll tell you whether or not I think that we are finally going into a buyer's market.
All right, let's go. Alright, if you are new to our channel, Chelsea and Pete here, and if you're interested in moving to Colorado, Denver, or any of the surrounding cities, we're the people that you need to know. So hit the subscribe button down below, the notification bell. We put out 2 videos a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and you are not going to want to miss some videos coming up.
Alright, cool guys. On top of that as well, licensed real estate agent here, helping out with all your real estate needs. We're helping out so many of you who are moving into Colorado, Denver Metro, Fort Collins, Castle Rock. Doesn't matter. We're helping you out in all those areas, so we're going to throw that phone number below. Right below right there. Give us a ring. We answer those calls in Texas, and Chelsea's gonna be one answering those. So let's go and dive into this video. We're gonna dive into a market video that, I mean, this is huge, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, usually we do a market video and we're like throwing numbers out. We're like, oh yeah, you know, these stats are showing this is showing this. This is seriously one where we're like, holy shit, this is a huge change, and that's why we're really gonna dive into what we're looking at from our perspective.
Yeah, so the last time that we talked about Denver, we talked to you guys about the inventory, and a lot of people were like, what is the inventory like? And we were kind of having a little bit of issues with inventory at the time. So let's talk about, we're going to be pulling these numbers from June. It is July, but we have to get a full month worth of data, be able to get the most recent up-to-date numbers for you guys. So these numbers that we talk about today are going to be from June. So single family inventory. So 2021, we were sitting at 674. 2022, we're now at 749. So that's an 11% increase. So inventory is starting to climb. We're starting to see that settle in a little bit and not feel so crazy about, like, you know, having to watch every single house that, you know, drops on the market. People and our clients are definitely starting to see multiple houses that they're liking, that fall into the criteria that they're looking for. Now, that's not to say townhouse and condos are following suit. We actually are still seeing a decrease of negative 22.5% as far as inventory in that realm. I think 2021 was 788, and 2022 was 611. So still seeing a little bit of a shortage on the inventory list as far as townhouses and condos.
Well, I mean, so what are we really looking at? What are these numbers projecting to? Because we could throw all these numbers at you, your eyes are glossing over, and you're like, okay, I don't give a shit. What does this break down to? What it means is, guess what? Money is more expensive right now. Interest rates are rising, and so last year you can, you know, pick up a mortgage for like 3%. Now you're looking at 5.5%, going up into 6s. We'll see what the Fed does in about a week, see whether or not they raise their rate, because that usually does determine what our mortgage rates are going to be as well too. It's not a direct correlation, but usually it's a trend. You know, when those interest rates, when the Fed raises the interest rates, our mortgage rates also go up. So that's really what it means. And so people can't afford as much house. And so why is it that single families are going, you know, there's more inventory in single family and not attached? I mean, attached are cheaper. You know, you can buy a condo or townhouse for cheaper. So people might be looking at, you know, I really didn't want that single family, but it's because this interest rate is higher, now it's going to kind of put me out of that price point, and they're looking more into these multifamily, townhouse, condo, row home, duplex style housing. Yeah,
so the other thing that we're starting to see with that is kind of this under contract like numbers that we typically throw at you. So we are starting to see that the under contract is actually down 27.5%. So, you know, it's taking a little longer. The days on the market is crawling up a little bit from, you know, not a lot, but from 2021 it was 7 days on the market. Now it's 9 days on the market. So we're starting to see a shift. If you go back, if you haven't seen our previous Denver housing market update, please go check it out. We'll put the link up below here, or up above here.
Somewhere. It's one of them. I never know. Because it's like you got the mirror effect, and we were like, oh, right there, no, right there, right there.
You're going to have to go find
All we know is it's above somewhere, so just look somewhere up here.
If Peter's really good or our editor's really good, he could just put it right here. Okay. So go check out that video, because what you'll see is that the days on the market were low, that, you know, under contract was high. Like we saw something very consistent with the market. Now we're starting to see, for the first time in a minute, some of these numbers starting to change from positive to negative.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I love this. Why do I love this? Is because majority of you who are coming to Colorado, obviously you're buyers. Before, it was seriously like battle of the buyers, right? We go in, we could compete against 10 other offers. You know, majority of the time we usually have to put 3-4 contracts on 4 different houses, and then we'd finally get that last one. But now you're able to be so much more picky as a buyer. Like, all right, cool, you know what? Yeah, I could pick and choose now. It's not me just kind of like getting in just to get in.
Right.
And so this is nice for you guys who are moving here, and that's why I'm really going to dive in a little bit deeper. Is it truly a buyer's market now, or are we just kind of like in the midway where it's like it's all right now it's kind of sellers, it's leveled out, you know, you got your scales, and now it's kind of even on both sides. But I mean, I just working with a couple buyers these last couple weeks. It's actually been a true pleasure because we have been able to really dig in and be like, all right, cool, you know, this is nice that we could throw in a contract. We don't have to worry about competing with 20 other buyers. Right. It's really been nice, and it's also been, it hasn't been as stressful on your guys' end as buyers moving into Colorado.
Yeah, absolutely. So Peter had kind of mentioned before a little bit about how, you know, there's mortgage rates and, you know, is it keeping people from buying? Is it affecting the prices? Things like that. So can we go a little bit into some of the prices? Like, where are we at with all of that?
All right, so first let's throw out those median sales numbers. Those are the biggest ones. So for a single family home, you're looking at a median sales price of $740 in the Denver area, right? So if you're looking at Denver specifically, we're not talking about Colorado, we're talking about Denver in this video. If we're looking at detached houses, what is that median sales price? You're looking at $458. So what are those numbers compared to like last year, last month? So they're actually down for the first time since January. Question is, are we going to see a trend now? Since this last month, it's been down since then. Is it going to keep going down? What's going to happen? So I like we always say, we don't have a crystal ball, we can't tell the future, but it's something we're really going to keep our eyes on. Is this market going to keep going down, or our median sales price is going to keep going down in Colorado?
Yeah, so guys, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe now, because we do these market updates. We also do it by different counties, different areas, and things like that. Yeah. We will be following this trend in Denver. You're going to want to know what these new market updates are, and we're going to keep an eye out for you. We're going to get the most up-to-date numbers. We promise to bring you whatever we can and what we're seeing from personal experience as well as the raw data. So
well, and that's something always been a pet peeve of mine, and it's like when someone just throws you all the numbers, but it's more so a perspective. All right, what are you seeing as a professional in this industry, working with buyers? What can we get into? Because if you're moving here into Colorado, one of the biggest things that we run into is, hey, can we really get a house in Colorado, or did we just miss out? Is it too hot and we can't do it anymore? Are we overpriced now? Can we not afford it anymore with our budget? And so that's why it's always good having a professional perspective into that, because we could bring it to you, right? You can come to me and be like, Pete, Chelsea, come on, tell me for real. Can I really get a house, say for like around $500,000 in downtown Denver, right? And so that's why we really bring in our expert advice as much as possible, because numbers can only do so much. Right. When you put it down on paper, it's on paper, but that's not real life. And that's why we like to bring in this channel, and why we like to bring you our expert advice.
Well, I'm going to cover one more thing that kind of ires in some of this pricing thing. So when we talked about in the last video, again, we like to do these comparisons across the board so that you understand that the market is there has trends. But one thing that has changed from the last video to this video, specifically in Denver, was this percent of list price received, okay? When we were in this market, this hot market, right? That's what they all say. Everyone says that to us. Oh, how is Colorado's hot market? So when we're in this hot market, what we were seeing is the percent go over 100. For the first time ever, just like, you know, seeing these home prices drop, we were seeing a negative 1.8% in that. And so yes, we're still seeing, you know, people come in and get list price, but it has decreased for the first time since doing these market updates. Yeah,
and that's actually, okay, so that's a great segue into what we kind of talked about is it a buyer's market? Well, something that I kind of came across the other day. Denver is the number 2 state in the country behind Boise, Idaho. Okay, Denver city in the country, not state, behind Boise, Idaho, that has dropped, their listings have dropped their prices. 51% of listings currently on the market have had to drop their listings, for Boise's up in the 60s. Wow. But yeah, Denver's number 2, and then right below us is Salt Lake City. So that's crazy to think that the 51% of the listings that are currently on market here in Denver have had to drop their price because they're just not selling.
Okay, so I do think it's fair for us to talk about what that could be, though. Mm-hmm. Like, number one, it could be that, you know, maybe our real estate agents got a little, you know, used to overpricing.
Yeah, it's definitely, I will say this without saying too much.
I know, that's what I was trying to say.
We do have listing agents who do get a little overzealous. Of course, they're trying to win out the contract to sell someone's house. And so they might be coming in and it's like, all right, cool, I can sell your house for this much, when ultimately they probably should have priced it a little bit lower.
Don't prove it.
Yeah, and before the market would keep up with that. So if an agent decided to throw a house in, say 10% more than what they initially thought it was worth, the market was keeping up with that because you had so much competition. Now with that competition gone, guess what? Now houses might be sitting a little bit longer, but it's definitely a trend that we did see with a lot of listing agents here in Colorado is they were listing them, I felt like, a lot higher than what they were really worth, but because of the market, they were getting it.
Well, and the other thing too is, inventory was a little lower at that time. So, people were jumping on houses kind of, they wouldn't wait. They wouldn't maybe there is something better out there because the inventory was kind of low. And so they had been seeing for weeks or months that, maybe something won't come along for a minute that I like as much as this house. And so they were willing to pay a little bit more. So it could be a factor. We don't know how much of it actually factors into that. But it is something worth, talking about.
All right, cool. So now I'm going to finish up my point. Is this a buyer's market? That's the biggest question. Of course, like I said, we can't predict the future. What am I seeing currently when we're offering on some of these houses? I think we're about midway, but I think it's the tipping point into more of a buyer's market because these houses are sitting longer. The sellers aren't selling them as quick as they did before. But I'm kind of, right now, I think we're right in the middle where it's not necessarily a seller's market. It's not necessarily a buyer's market. I think we're right in the middle, but I think we're at that tipping point where here pretty soon, in the next month or two, it's going to be a buyer's market, and it's going to be great for you guys because if you're moving into Colorado, you're going to be in a lot more powerful position as opposed to before.
Yeah, and I don't know if it makes any sense or not, but we also typically, and just kind of trending, we're about to enter into school time when people are we start to see the market slow down as well.
August is a great time to buy a house.
It's a great time to buy a house.
It is a great time to buy a house because it just slows down so much in August, and it's crazy how, so it's like I said, August, great time to buy.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, okay, so if the market adjusts the way that we think it's going to, and houses are staying on longer, and we enter a month in the year that is typically a slower month for specifically families, we're going to start seeing some people making the move. Now, we also know that if you have a family, it's hard to make a move during that time, which is why we start to see the market slow a little bit. But it's definitely something worth looking into. Let us know.
And then there's one more thing that I want to hit on right before we dip out of here real quick is go check out, I just did a video with a lender and he made a great point where from their perspective that they're saying that the experts are saying that like end of 2023, 2024 that the interest rates might start to go down again. With that, say you get in right now in a house, you could always refi out and then get that lower interest rate. So don't make interest rate the number one reason why you aren't purchasing a house right now. Just make sure that it still fits within your budget, but then just know that maybe, possibly, like I said, take this with a grain of salt because we don't know what's going to happen. You might be able to refinance in a year or two as well too and get that rate down. Because I mean, when I first purchased my first house, it was a 6%. And like back in the day, I was like, this is freaking awesome because this isn't nothing like what the 80s was, And so my parents were always saying, oh, yes, it was up in the teens, you're getting a great rate at 6%. And so just because we've had historically low interest rates, don't let that deter you from purchasing a house if that is what your goals are.
Yeah, because then you walk into the house that you want with the price a little bit more adjusted accordingly, and then you get to refi and get the rate that you want later. Still a win-win all across the board.
And you don't have to compete with all these buyers, right? So you get to get the house that you really want. You don't have to be like, okay, we'll throw down on this one just because. And so it's nice being able to, like it's all about what your goals are and honestly just like making sure that those goals happen.
Yeah. All right, guys, we do these videos for you. If you have questions about this video, again, part of this is raw content. The other part is just really showing you as experts what we're seeing with our clients every single day, what we hear from, our experts up north as well, like really just trying to collaborate and put all of that together to give you the best information possible. But if there's questions you have around it, please let us know. We do these videos for you.
And of course, guys, we're going to throw our phone number right below right there one more time because we are answering all your calls. If you're looking at moving into Colorado, like I said, Chelsea's going to be one answer that call. We want to be your experts here when purchasing a house, home, doesn't matter, in the state of Colorado. And until next time, we love you.